Hiya, in this video I'm going to be replacing the front and rear brakes on the 323F. They are in a very sorry state at the moment. They didn't really work very well on the test drive, probably because it's been sat for quite a few months and yeah, there's just a lot of surface corrosion. So yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. So at first, just a lot of surface rust, probably go as the brakes are applied. There's no major lip. Current state of the pads, they are getting low. Camera's hard to pick it up, but yeah. So it just took me a good while to crack off these slider pins. Finally done it. And if I remove the top one, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of lubrication, which probably is the reason why it was a pig to get out. Once the slider pins are removed, you can then tap either side of the caliper to release it, and there's another two 17mm bolts behind to take the carrier off. So these are the states of the pad, which look well overdue, and the discs. So I'm now going to clean up the hub area and start to assemble. And that's now all reassembled. Unfortunately, with the ADL pads, they only give you 4 of these when you need 8, so I've had to reuse one on each pad. But the sliders now had a good amount of clean and red rubber grease. Also gave the end of the slider bolts a tiny bit of copper slip, just to help next time. So yeah, I did notice there wasn't a hole in the hub for the hold and screw, so I've left that out for now. So yeah, one side done, now to head over to the other side and then make my way over to the back. So just before I now take the bolts holding the caliper carrier to the hub off, have a look at these pads. Yeah, that ain't gonna do a lot. Yeah, I don't think this would have passed an MOT. It's a good job I did change them. So that's the hub now cleaned up. One thing I didn't say about when pushing back the piston, I use an old pad, put it back in the caliper, and then I use a G-clamp. This 3-inch one is just about big enough to fit. I used to use just the G-clamp back in the early days when I was messing around with cars, but obviously you've only got the lip of the piston. It's not ideal, so the brake pad helps spread the load. So I'll finish cleaning up the caliper, and yeah, get the new stuff fitted. So moving over to the rear brakes. So passenger rear looks like it's had a replacement caliper at some point. Looks like I've removed the cap for the bottom bolt, slider bolt already. Can't feel anything at the top here. So yeah, let's remove this one and see what's happening. So with the bottom 10mm for the slider, where to put it? Here. 10mm in the slider. As you can see, this is bone dry and all. You can then wiggle the caliper up or swing it up, and then the pads will then pull out. So the top slider pin is actually part of the caliper pad carrier, so that can just slide off. Obviously make sure that the handbrake isn't up, because obviously you won't be able to release it. So I just got to try and undo these hub bolts, which are 14mm. and then the carrier can come off, and then the disc can be replaced. These hub bolts were quite tight, so in the end I removed the two 17mm shock bolts. I noticed that the brake line bracket had obviously corroded off and it's been cable tied. What a surprise. I then used a long socket and ratchet, and then I also used a deep socket and an extension for more leverage, so they can now be removed. My mistake in the last clip, this wire here is the ABS sensor, not the brake line, because obviously the brake line is attached to the caliper still. So got the carrier off, disc is now on. Right, so to rewind the piston, on the back here in line with the piston is a 14mm bolt. You need to remove that, and then inside, if I can twist around enough, probably won't see it, but inside there is a 4mm Allen key. When you start undoing the Allen key, the piston will then pull back. So just do that. Obviously the pads were reasonably low, so they just fell out originally, but obviously if they're fairly new, then you'll need to wind it back with the Allen key. So yeah, there we go. Once you've got everything reassembled, just need to tighten up the 4mm Allen key. That's for the preload for the handbrake, and then just back off about a third of a turn, and then refit the little 14mm bolt with the copper washer, and then you should be good to go. So now halfway through doing the driver's side, and this decided to mull out itself. I have cut it, as you can see, shiny, but as soon as I then tried to undo it again, it's just not having it. So I think the internal part of the caliper is damaged, so it's going to need a new caliper. So yeah, it's a shame. It is just marginal. The piston just needs to be pushed in, wind back a little bit more for it to go on, but unfortunately that's beating me today. So yeah, bugger. Right, I managed to get this caliper back on. I had to cut that adjustment screw down again, but yeah, it's on now. Everything's tightened up. Just need to bleed the brakes. I think time's now getting on, so I'll wait until my next available day to bleed that. So I thought I'd got away with having the caliper refitted, but with the preload screw on the back of the caliper backed off, I can't actually move the disc. So I think the piston has definitely seized inside. So rather than messing around with that, it was just easier to buy a replacement. So this costs £65, it's a refurb unit. I've already retracted the piston much further back, so yeah, should be straightforward enough swap over. I've got to bleed the brakes anyway, so kind of makes sense to do this now rather than down the road. Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, let's get this handbrake cable released, and everything should come off fairly well. So that's the new caliper on. Nice and easy to do. Time to bleed the brakes. So I've only ever done this once, and I used a one-man easy bleed on the micro, but for some reason the cap supply didn't fit the reservoir, so I'm hoping that one of these will for this. It's going to make things a lot easier. So I've got the easy bleed connected. The spare wheel, or a wheel, sitting on top. They say maximum 20 psi, but I've reduced it down to 10. I don't fancy blowing any seals, so I just thought I'd start cracking off the bleed screws. Come round to the first one that I would do, and that doesn't look straight, does it? So if I just that is definitely not straight, so I best go get another bleed screw before I even start this. Yep, just had an idea. Still got the old caliper, so I've now cleaned up the old bleed screw and I'll use that. So yeah, I think someone's, I have no idea, tried to over tighten it or what, but yeah, this saves a lot of faffing around. So fast forward a little while, couldn't get this bleeder kit to work, so shout out to my friend Ross for coming over to help me. We done it the old school way, pumping the pedal, cracking off the bleed screw, etc, etc. So yes, brake pedal is now a good feel. So I've now started to clean up the threads and the coilovers. I'm now going to pressure wash the insides of the wheel arches just to clear some of this mud out, and I've got some coilover socks to go over just to help protect them. Before I do that, I'll apply some copper grease and I'll slacken off these locking nuts to make sure they're all moving freely, and then after that I think the wheels can go back on. Right, so that's the arches now pressure washed. A bit cleaner. So while the wheels are off, I'm going to remove the front bumper, and to do that, headlight's got to come out first. So apologies, I was going to film actually doing it, but a bit more of a struggle than I first thought. So you've got the two on top, which are visible there and there, and there's a hidden one just there. Once that's removed, inside the wing is another 10mm headed 6mm threaded bolt. There's another one here which I've removed, which you don't actually need to remove. Moving over to the arch liner, there's 3 trim clips and one underneath, and then in the corner, can't see it because the sun's so low, just in this corner is a 8mm headed bolt. Then as you're looking behind the headlight, there's 2 14mm bolts, or nuts, sorry, and then there is one on the other side. Can't really see it, it's down here somewhere. There's another one, but my one was missing, and then the whole thing should pull away. Right, finally got the bumper off. All of this just to change a fog light bulb. So that looks like it just twists. Should do. Right, get this bulb changed over. Got some lumber plates to fit. I'll do that while it's off. So yeah, small progress. So I've now got the fog light unit off the bumper, and as I took the cap off, or you have to undo these screws a little bit for the cap to turn, and as you can see, there's been an ingress of water, which is probably why the bulb didn't work. And if this focuses, can do this one-handed. There you go. The bulb looks fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this up. I've got a power probe, so I'll test the connections and see what's happening. That'll be just quicker just to plug it all back in, but as you can see, it's still not working. So I think the corrosion is a bit more than surface. So yeah, and obviously this little hole is probably what's causing the water ingress. So looks like I'll be getting another one at some point, but luckily it's not required for UK MOT, so I'll just have to leave it for now. Test the coilover box now installed. So the bumper's now back on. So I think the wheels can now go on. Obviously it's now been raining, so that's sort of stopped me for a little bit. So yeah, let's go grab these wheels. So the tyres I've gone for are Kumo KS 52s, 51s. I honestly can't remember. C rated for fuel economy. Well, they ain't gonna make a difference on this. And A for wet grip. So give these a go. And then the wheels are the S14A. I mean, the rain is kind of helping the fact that these are incredibly rushed and poorly done. There's scratch marks and, you'll be able to see it, scratch marks and probably leftover paint from previous, but it's just to get me on the road, sorted. They look a lot better than what they were. So yeah, let's go sling these on. So now I've got the fronts on as well. Doesn't look too bad. So yeah, apologies for the length of the video, but just wanted to get it all done in one rather than lots of little ones. So yeah, next video should be sorting out the last few little bits and pieces, ready for the MOT.